Namaste. It's Ali here, and thank you for being here with me today. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We just finished up a 10-day meditation challenge on my channel and on my website, and a lot of my students and trainees that work with me in person were in the challenge, and I had a couple of requests from people for me to do a little bit of a rant about neuroscience, because this is something that I often geek out about in a pretty large way in my trainings and things like that. So I had some requests, and I've never done a video like this online before, but I'm excited. So we'll start by talking about a book, actually. I want to start with a book that I read. So and this will give you some insights about how meditation has the ability to change your life and what's actually happening in terms of the brain and your relationship to the world. So when we become more aware of our thoughts, we start to notice if they're in line with this concept in the 8 limbs of yoga of ahimsa. So ahimsa means nonviolence or compassion, and it's the foundational yama of the yamas and the niyamas, which make up the roots, the foundation of the yogic tradition. So it brings us right back to that first limb of yoga through svadhyaya, which is meditation really helps us to come into this place of self-study. So the word svadhyaya is a niyama, which is the word for self-study. So what's happening in meditation is we become more aware of our thoughts. So we can start to observe where our thoughts are more helpful and where our thoughts are more harmful. So this is really important as we start to infuse more awareness into our lives. And it truly can be really life-changing. So one way to think about it is I'll talk about this the way that Mark Manson talked about it, actually, because I really enjoyed the way that he talked about the different brains in his book. So his book, I'll just put it up here. That's the name of the book. So he talks about how, in one of the chapters, he says, let's pretend your mind is a car. So he calls it the consciousness car, and I love that. So the consciousness car is driving down the road of life, and it's making decisions, and those decisions will determine your destination. And there are 2 travelers in this car. There's the thinking brain and there's the feeling brain, right? So we hear about the thinking brain and the feeling brain all the time when we're looking into and studying things like neuroscience. And the thinking brain represents our ability, it represents our thoughts, our ability to make like calculations, reasoning and expressing ideas through language, that sort of thing. And then we've got our feeling brain or our emotional brain, which governs our emotions and our impulses and our intuition and our instincts and our patterns. It's more of the sort of subconscious, the unconscious layers of our nervous system. So the funny thing is that most of us just go through life assuming that our thinking brain is driving the car. And it's very common. We just happen to think that our thinking brain is driving the car, and that, on occasion our feeling brain might see something fun or shiny and just sort of grab the wheel on us and causing us to go off course or to drive into oncoming traffic maybe, or something like that. So we think our thinking brain is driving the car, and the feeling brain's in the passenger seat just kind of being reckless over there. But the truth of the matter is that our feeling brain is the one that's driving the consciousness car. So our feeling brain is driving, it's at the wheel, okay? And our thinking brain is just the passenger. It's sitting in the passenger seat, holding the map, trying to get the feeling brain to go where it wants it to go. It's pulling out the calculations, and it's the navigator, and it's saying, oh, we should turn up here. And the feeling brain's going, actually, I want to go that way. So feelings and emotions are actually what drive our actions. Thinking doesn't really drive our actions at all. Feelings are what drives our actions. So meditation allows us to become more aware of our thoughts and our feelings, and we start to inquire and get more inquisitive about what is going on in this sort of internal landscape of the thoughts and the feelings. And the feeling brain is quite stubborn. It'll drive wherever it wants, no matter how many facts or data that the thinking brain throws at it. And I love this one quote that he used in the book. Moral psychologist Jonathan Haidt compares the two brains to an elephant and its rider. The rider can gently steer and pull the elephant in a particular direction, but ultimately the elephant is going to go where it wants to go. So that's just another analogy where your feeling brain is the elephant. Your feeling brain is the elephant, and your thinking brain is the elephant rider. Okay? So how does meditation help with all of this? So if thoughts create our emotions, which they do, a thought has the ability to create an emotion. It also can go the other way around sometimes, like a feeling can come first, but then we always have a thought about that feeling, which then perpetuates another feeling, if that makes sense. So if you think about, for example, being on a roller coaster, you might be riding up a roller coaster going towards the top, and a really intense sensation might come over your body, and one person might think, oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun, I'm so excited. And another person might think, oh my God, we're all going to die, I'm having an anxiety attack, something along those lines. So the feeling sometimes can come first, but then what are the thoughts that we put to that feeling? So sometimes the feeling can precede the thought, but a lot of the time our thoughts precede emotion. And it's our thoughts that generate those particular emotions about whatever the circumstance happens to be in life. So as we become more aware of our unconscious thoughts through the process of meditation, as we become more aware throughout our days, we become more aware of some of those unconscious thoughts that are coming up through practicing this cultivation of awareness through meditation. Then we start to notice, oh, that's interesting. What's that thought? Is it helpful? Is it hurtful? Coming back to that place of ahimsa internally, that compassion or non-violence in the internal landscape of our thoughts and feelings. So I'll use an example from my own life currently. So I'm currently fairly pregnant. And for the sake of this example, we've got circumstance. So we've got a circumstance in life that's circumstances are generally neutral, and then we assign ideas to them. So there's a circumstance, and then there's a thought about the circumstance, and then there's an emotion that comes from that thought, and then there's the action, because the emotion drives our actions, and then the actions create our results. So in this particular circumstance, I am pregnant, and I'm gaining weight, of course. Of course I'm gaining weight. My clothes are starting to not fit. I'm having to start wearing maternity clothes, stuff like that. So let's go down the road of what would happen with negative thoughts. So in this particular culture that we live in, there's a lot of body image thoughts that might come up for me at this point. So I might look in the mirror and think, oh, I'm getting fat, or oh, I'm gaining too much weight. This is going to be hard to lose this weight. My clothes are giving me like a little bit of a muffin top. I don't like that. That's gross. Let's see. I might have a thought, like I had this thought the other day when they weighed me at the doctor's. Oh my gosh, I'm already almost as heavy as I was at the end of my last pregnancy, and I'm only at the end of my second trimester. I'm going to gain more weight than I did last time. I might look in the mirror and see my face and go, oh, my face is starting to get chubby, something like that. So these are all pretty self-deprecating thoughts, right, about the natural process of my body gaining weight. Because I'm pregnant. So those are the thoughts, and then what emotions might come up for me if I'm having those thoughts. So I might feel embarrassed. I might feel discouraged. I might feel irritated or annoyed with myself. And therefore I might act irritated or annoyed outwardly to people around me. I might get anxious. I have a tendency towards anxiety. So I might get anxious about the fact that I'm gaining weight, or I might just feel kind of like sad or hopeless about it, because I'm creating this narrative of this big negative narrative around the fact that I'm gaining weight because I'm pregnant. So in my particular life, my circumstances, the thoughts, the emotions that are generating from those thoughts, in my life, what I would do, and this is a very common one, and it's a little bit ironic, but I would feel anxious and then tend to gravitate towards like eating my feelings. So I might eat junk food or pizza and candy or chocolate or chips or something like that, and then feel guilty because I've got a little being right now inside of my body that needs nourishment, and here I am just like chowing down on junk food. Because I feel bad about myself. So the results of that are the actions create the results, right? Our actions create our results. So the results are going to be more weight gain than I would if I wasn't having these thoughts, more overeating, and more eating my feelings. So let's just say instead of those negative stories that I'm telling myself, I would have a more neutral thought. So I have a sort of more neutral thought about it. So the circumstance would stay the same. I'm pregnant, I'm gaining weight, and my clothes don't fit me anymore. Obviously. And then what if my more neutral thought was just simply, I have a body. My body is pregnant. So the emotion there that would come up for me, if we're using my life as an example, would be just kind of neutral and calm. Just, I have a body, my body's pregnant. Calm, neutral, not too much going on in the way of emotions that are going to drive me to do something I don't want to do. So I will still gain weight, probably not as excessive amounts of weight as if I were like chowing down on like a whole bag of chips or, eating a bunch of chocolate bars because I felt sad. And then, those are a little bit of maybe better results that I'm creating in my life due to my awareness of the thoughts and the feelings. So let's go and explore just before we end with a positive thought. So sort of like reframing the thought. So my circumstance is still, I'm pregnant, I'm gaining weight, my clothes don't fit. And then I'm just going to reframe that thought. So one that I love, and this is kind of thanks to the magic of yoga and meditation and just that sort of inquisitive nature of the process and the inquisitive nature around life itself, is what if the thought was, my body is so intelligent and my body's doing exactly what it needs to do. My body is doing exactly what it's meant to do. I really trust my body. I really trust that my body is intelligent beyond what I could ever comprehend. My heart is beating, my blood is pumping. There's nothing that I need to do. It's just already happening. It's creating this baby inside of me. That is a much more positive thought. So when I think those thoughts, the emotion that comes up is sort of just this sense of like relaxed trust in life itself and in my body, a sense of sort of ease and well-being, even gratitude, like a gratitude for this body to be able to do what it's currently doing. And the action that comes out of that for me is, researching healthy pregnancies and reading and learning about, natural birthing articles and stuff like this. And it causes me to really want to nourish my body and eat really well, making smoothies with different types of, things like spirulina and barley grass juice powder and things that are really nourishing my body on that sort of micronutrient level and therefore nourishing my baby. And then I feel like I'm really giving my baby that nourishment that it needs. There's a sense of sort of love and reverence for my body. And then my actions are driven by that. And then when I do happen to eat some chocolate or eat some junk food, it's not a big, huge deal. I'm not making it into this giant ordeal. So meditation, one of the ways that it helps is by helping us to sort of slow down the momentum of thoughts. So we're slowing down the momentum of thoughts over time, which can be helpful for then becoming more aware. Then that process is svadhyaya, self-study starts to come in. We're starting to notice our thoughts, notice our emotions, noticing if they're helpful or hurtful, coming back to that practice of ahimsa, of compassion, of love. And then choosing deliberately which thoughts to go with. So it doesn't mean that we're not still going to have negative thoughts sometimes, but we simply notice, oh, that was a, kind of a hurtful thought or a self-deprecating thought. And then you might choose again and think, oh, what thought could I think instead of that? Or you might even do a little exercise. Sometimes with my students, I'll encourage things like brain dumps. Like in a lot of my online courses and things like that, we'll do journaling exercises or things where we do like sort of a brain dump and get some of those thoughts out. And then you can go through this whole process of noticing the thought and then reframing it and then generating a feeling that feels good, that feels empowering, that feels like it's steering you in the direction of your dharma or your path or where you want to go in this world, in this life. So anyways, I hope that you found that helpful, this whole thinking brain, feeling brain thing. So it really does change the course of our lives when we start to become aware of these things, that our circumstances are fairly neutral. Sometimes there are circumstances in life that are difficult, that are hard for us to be, neutral about, but still we have the choice to choose our thoughts about it. So there will be an emotional reaction that comes up as a pattern, as a habitual pattern, or as like a thing that just comes up to particular circumstances. But through this process, we actually take our power back, and we take our power to reframe the situation back, which is such a beautiful thing. And it's completely life-changing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little different from my other videos, but if you enjoyed it, let me know. And if you want more comments from videos like this from me, then just let me know in the comments below. My pregnancy brain mixes up words sometimes. Yeah, so that's that. And I hope you guys enjoyed the meditation challenge. For those of you who were in it, if you weren't in it, please join us next time. And I hope that this video helps you to feel empowered to continue with your meditation journey each day and to really invite the practice into your life and to keep going with it. Yeah. So have a beautiful day. Namaste.